All right, math friends. So if you were not in class today, this is a lesson about subtracting rational numbers. So in a previous lesson, we talked about adding rational numbers. We're going to review that really quickly. So if we are adding rational numbers and we have the same sign, we're going to add the numbers and keep the sign. So remember when we had two positive numbers, 2 plus 5. That's how many positives do I have. If we have two negative numbers, so for example, A down here, -6 plus -10, that's how many total negative numbers do I have? I have -16. And then same thing here, I would have total, I would add the numbers, I'd get 10, keep the negative. Remember fractions, when we add or subtract, we have to make sure we have a common denominator. And we're adding negative numbers, two negative numbers, so we're going to add the numerator to 9, keep our denominator, make sure it's negative. Okay? So when we're adding with different signs, we're going to subtract the numbers and keep the sign of the bigger number. So we're going to do, for this example, 8 minus 5 for 8 plus -5. We're going to subtract the numbers, take the difference, and then keep the sign of the number, the digit that is bigger. Well, don't worry about negative, positive, and which one's, larger that way. We're just doing the digit that is bigger, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to practice subtracting rational numbers. So I'm going to do a few examples for you. All right, so first example, 3 minus 2. 3 minus 2. You guys should know what this is. These are two positive numbers. We're going to get a value greater than 0. 3 minus 2 is 1. Okay? You guys know that. Now we have -3 minus -1. Okay? So I'm going to use my counters and I'm going to explain this to you using those. So I'm going to represent -3. I have -3. Now I want to take away 1. Because remember, minus sign means take away. So I want to take away -1. Well, I have a -1 here. There's 3 of them. So I'm going to take away one of these. What am I left with? -2. Okay? All right, let's do another example. So I have 3 minus 5. So I'm going to represent 3. Okay? Now, I want to take away 5. But how many do I have here? I only have 3, right? So I want to take away 5. Well, remember we talked about those 0 pairs, where if I have a -1 and a +1 together, that makes 0? What if I add that 0 pair? Is my number still 3? This equals 0, and there's 1 positive, 2 positives, 3 positives. So that's still 0, even though I added this 0 pair. I'm going to add one more 0 pair. Number is still 3. I've got 3 positives and 2 sets of 0, so it's still 3. But now I have 5 positives that I can take away. So if I take these away, what am I left with? -2. And I want to show you with the counters first because it'll make more sense if you understand it with the counters. So again, I had 3 positives. 1, 2, 3. I added a 0, even though it was positive and a negative. Added a 0, positive and negative. And then I took away 5. All right? Now let's do another one. Now I have -10 minus 2. So let's do -10 minus 2. So let me show you -10. So I've got -10 here. I want to take away 2. Is my 2 positive or negative? It's positive. But the problem is I don't have any positive numbers here. Okay. Could I add another 0 pair? Whoops. That is 0. So I still have -10 plus 0. That's still -10. But now I need to add another 0 pair so that I have 2 positives that I can take away. All right, so my number's -10. I added 2 zeros. zero pair. -1, +1 makes 0. And now I'm going to take away 2. What number am I left with? I've got 10 and then 2 more negatives. That's -12. Okay, so all that. Now let's look at it. So I am going to make sure that I've done this right. So let me tell you the trick, and then we'll go back to the cards or the counters if we need to. So when we subtract rational numbers, we're going to do something called adding the opposite. Does everybody see that here? So add the opposite, or we can say keep, change, change. So what you're going to do is you're going to keep your first number. You're going to change minus to a plus sign. That's adding. And then you're going to put the opposite of the second number, which is the opposite. Okay, so add the opposite. First number doesn't change. Second number is a minus to a plus. Third number, this is not a number, I'm sorry. The minus sign becomes a plus sign. And then -6 becomes, or +6 becomes -6. Excuse me. So let's do that with what we've done. So 3 minus 2, we know that that equals 1. But let's make that into an addition problem. So I'm going to take our 3, the first number, it doesn't change. Minus becomes plus, adding the opposite. So add the opposite. So now I'm going to take that +2 and make it negative. Now I have two numbers, 3 and -2. Well, these are different signs, so I know I need to subtract them. I get 1. 3 is the larger digit, so I keep my positive symbol. Let's look at the next one. Keep the first number, add the opposite of -1 is +1. So, negative plus a positive, they're different signs. I subtract the numbers and get 2. 3 is the larger digit, so I keep the negative there. Let's try it for the third one. 3 minus 5. Keep the first number, add, and then the opposite of +5 is -5. Different signs, subtract to get 2. 5 is the larger digit, -2. -10 minus 2. Keep the first number, add the opposite of +2, -2. These are now the same sign, so I'm going to add them and keep the sign, -12. So these are just a few examples, and you have a practice that you can do if you were not in class today.